This is Reporter Room with Jessica Della Davies.
Today, I'm talking with renowned journalist and author Howard Blum, Elliot Rodger, who is an incel that I'm sure you're familiar with, that Bryan Kohberger studied under Dr. Ramsland at DeSalles, that Elliot Rodger had talked at length in his manifesto about a girl named Maddie.
Yeah, it might be coincidence. Again, this is one of the things we'll never know. But if we do know a bit about Bryan Kohberger's actions on the night of November 13th, the murders. We do know that he drives by the house not once, not twice, but 3 times. I don't think he was stalking the house. I think he was trying to find the will to become a monster. Why do I say that? Well, if he was stalking the house, he would have seen all the cars in the driveway. He would have seen the DoorDash driver come, and he would have thought, well, this is not a good night. There are too many people there. But then he finally gets to the top of the hills, approximately 4 a.m., and he somehow manages to turn off the ignition on his car. And I believe that would require the will of Hercules for him to make that commitment to finally stop, turn off the car, and he goes down this sort of icy slope towards the back kitchen door with a knife sheath in his hand. He enters through the sliding door, kitchen door, and that's on the second floor of this 3-story house. On the second floor, there are 2 bedrooms, each filled with sleeping young people. He could have, or they're not sleeping at this point, but filled with young people. He could have gone to, if he was just a mass murderer, he could have gone to any of those bedrooms. Instead, he goes to the staircase and he goes up it deliberately, and he goes into the bedroom to the left, the bedroom that faces out into the parking area where Maddie Mogen kept her pink boots in the window. He would have known that was hers. And he goes in there, I believe, to kill Maddie. That's why he enters that one bedroom. To his surprise, he finds that there are 2 young women there, Maddie and Kaylee. Kaylee fights back like a tiger, and in this process, he loses the knife sheath. He forgets about it. It comes wrapped up in Maddie's sheets next to her body. Xana has heard the noise. He's either leaving the room or she's coming up. At that moment, he sees her. He chases her down. He kills her. And then he kills Ethan while he's still in bed. Ethan is still largely asleep. He then, according to Dateline's report, carves on Ethan's legs with his knife. That's the word they use, carves. He then sits down on a chair for a moment. We can see the impression of his buttocks on the chair. And we know he rests for a minute. Then he goes out, and there is Dylan Mortensen. Dylan Mortensen sees this man in black with a mask on, and she's overwhelmed. She can't speak. She doesn't say a word. Her silence, I believe, saves her life. If she had screamed, if she had said, "What are you doing here?" If she had yelled, I believe he would have killed her too. But instead, at that moment, he's locked up in his own armory of hate, his own transformation into this killer, and he just makes his ways out the back kitchen door. He'd come there to kill one woman, and everyone else was collateral damage. Why did he choose Maddie? Again, unless he speaks, we'll never know, because there is no clear evidence of his ever having talked to her while she was a waitress at the Mad Greek restaurant. We know that he went there. We know that she was a waitress. Did they have any kind of exchange? Again, we don't know. We do know that Kohberger was a man prone to obsessions, that he could look at her blonde beauty, her exuberance, her youth, and that might have triggered something in him, something that he fantasized about. But again, we won't have the details. But it's my speculative theory that he fixated on Maddie, and that put this whole thing in motion.
Poor Maddie, poor Kaylee, poor Ethan and Xana. It's just heartbreaking, and I'm glad that Dylan did not come out of her room. So that answers what was going to be my next question, which is why do you think about why did he choose Maddie? But why do you think that Bryan Kohberger did indeed spy on his WSU colleague using those cameras, as was reported out by multiple networks?
Well, I had spoken to the roommate of that young woman who had the camera. What happened was she was from Korea, South Korea. She had just gotten into the program. She had a was having problems with English. She had shared an office, a graduate student office with Bryan Kohberger, and she developed a friendship with him. And she might have wanted to take it further, she told friends. But he was dismissive of her. He didn't like her inability to speak articulately, and he just kept her at a distance. But she did receive, she told him, and just one other friend, a watch from her sister in Korea, and it was a keepsake, a family heirloom. It was a watch or a ring. I'm not quite sure. My memory fades at this point. But she told him about it, and it was stolen. And she mentions it to Kohberger, and then 2 days later, I think it's replaced. One time she goes into her apartment and she sees that everything, all her cosmetics have been taken off a stand above the commode, and they're now been rearranged on the toilet seat, really bizarrely. So she goes to Bryan for help. He helps her install a sort of a webcam on her a computer. She was having problems getting onto the university internet system, the Wi-Fi. He does this. He then had access to her computer. Did he ever look? Again, only Kohberger knows for sure. That search history has not been made available.
Well, we've been hearing some reporting about Bryan Kohberger carrying something in his hand that night. Bill Thompson talked about it during the plea hearing. What do you think Bryan Kohberger was carrying in his hand besides the K-bar knife that Dylan saw? She thought it was a vacuum cleaner type.
Right. Dylan
thing.
thought it was a vacuum cleaner. It could have been the K-bar knife. It could have been a plastic bag that he was getting ready. They pulled out of a pocket. They was getting ready to put his suit in that he was wearing, this sort of work suit, before he got to the car. Because there was so much blood in that house, so much blood that it was coming down the foundation out in red rivulets. It was dripping out, and yet he leaves no trail of blood. There's no trail of blood from the house back to where the car was parked above it on that sort of ridge. I mean, he did a masterful job of covering up everything except for that one mistake, the knife sheath with that little bit of DNA on the button snap.
So why do you think Bryan Kohberger returned to the crime scene at 9 a.m. that morning? What's your theory on that?
Well, again, that returning to the crime scene at 9 a.m. is just a couple of hours after he finished the phone call with his parents and just before he takes that selfie. So I think he was going back there. I think he was after speaking with his parents. He knew he had left the knife sheath behind. He was worried. He wanted to see what was happening outside the house. If the police were already there, if they had the knife sheath, he wanted to see if he was in any danger. He goes there and he sees everything's quiet, and he sort of that reinforces his confidence and allows him to go home and do that thumbs up selfie that sort of mission accomplished. His bizarre monster's mission has been accomplished. I think he went there just to see if he had a real problem.
If you haven't subscribed, please hit the subscribe button. It's free and it helps me out a lot. Give this a thumbs up and drop me a comment. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comment section below.
I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I got nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper. I've been feeling weird, I can't seem to focus good enough. Nothing's really clear, sometimes it could be a little tough.